The ANC, of course, went below 50% the first time since 1994. Yeah. And now they're governing in coalition with some opposition parties. And many believe that, well, there was this sort of hype that, okay, now we're back into the 1994 era. South Africa is sort of saved or on the right track. What's your view of this government of national unity?
I monitor it skeptically, but I must say it's probably the first sign of relief in 30 years that you take the power from that power-hungry, rabies-like ANC government and you divide it. Some of the negative points is the government is even bigger now than it used to be. It seems like coalitions all over Europe. There's going to be a lot of tug of war. Already yesterday I saw it happening. There's not a lot of peace. But that is why you have these coalitions, is because we can't agree and we can't afford to have one group run away with all the power. That's the only positive thing about these coalitions, or a government of national unity, as we call it. I asked one of the politicians yesterday, if South Africa goes to the International Court to make a case against Israel for human rights transgressions during war, firstly, who the hell are we to get away with something like that? Who are we to get away with something like that? Secondly, where does that leave the government of national unity? Are you all for this case that's been opened? Certainly that was an ANC initiative, but the ANC is now only a party. It is not the ruling government anymore. How does it change things out there? It's an important question for us, as it is for the Americans. Trump was the one who actually initiated the Abraham Accords, which is probably the only positive thing that happened in the Middle East in the last 20 years. I see peace on the horizon, and I hope everybody shares my optimism.
I think for me, it's difficult to foresee that this government of national unity would maintain or would be in place for the next 5 years. At some point, I would guess that there's going to be some friction, and we see some of it already with, for example, the Bella Act. But I think there's some sigh of relief among a lot of people. But still, the worst position we could possibly be in is to have a government like this, including the opposition parties, that then serve as a rubber stamp. So the ANC just implements laws like the Bella Act and these national health insurance, all these socialist laws. And the other parties, the opposition parties, are too scared that they might lose their space or their spot in this government of national unity, so they don't say anything. That would be a worse situation.
Yeah, you did right. And the question is, who is the opposition? If there's a government of national unity and all the parties are included, all right, you still need an opposition. Yes. You still need someone to check this. I know there are parties like EFF and MK who say they are. But Lord, I don't know.
They're opposition to the left to make sure that they are...
to make sure that these things happen.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the good things about... one of the differences between South Africa and Zimbabwe is Zimbabwe had most of their hopes, or Rhodesia as it was known back then, but much of their hope was placed on opposition parties. And I think what's good in our context is we have strong civil society. We have a long list of institutions that are not necessarily political parties. You need the parties. But I think also that's one of the lessons from South Africa, is America and Europe is very much focused on voting and getting your party in power.
Yeah,
and we've learned this lesson of also organizing outside of party politics.
Yeah.